A white chapel stands at the edge of a dusty frontier town, its doors wide open to the afternoon heat. Inside, 24 guests sit in stiff wooden pews, their heads turning toward the entrance every few seconds. At the altar, a young man in a new suit shifts his weight nervously, avoiding the eyes of the preacher. The flowers on the altar are wilting slightly, their petals beginning to curl at the edges, as if they too have been waiting too long. Outside the chapel, a woman stands alone in the middle of the dirt road. She wears a simple cream dress, not extravagant but clearly her best, now smudged with dust at the hem. In her hands, she holds a small bouquet of wildflowers, her knuckles wide around the stems. Her face is not angry. It is something far worse. It is the quiet, hollow realization of abandonment. The chapel doors remain open, but she does not enter. A horse-drawn wagon kicks up dust as it disappears over the rise beyond town. Through the back of the wagon, a woman with bright feathers in her hat glances back with a satisfied smirk. Beside her sits the young man from the chapel, his head hung low, not daring to look back. The abandoned woman watches from the roadside, the bouquet slipping from her fingers and scattering across the dirt. No one in town comes to comfort her. The sun has begun to set, casting long orange shadows across the empty churchyard. The abandoned woman sits alone on the chapel steps, her cream dress now dull with dust, her hair escaping from its pins. She has removed her gloves, her bare hands resting limply in her lap. Behind her, the church doors are closed. The guests have gone home. The preacher has locked up. She has nowhere to go, and for the first time, her face shows the cracks of tears. The sound of hoofbeats breaks the silence. A wagon approaches, not fancy, but sturdy, pulled by 2 tired draft horses. The driver holds the reins loosely, a man with a weathered face and broad shoulders, his hat pulled low against the setting sun. Beside him on the wagon seat are 3 boys, all wearing expressions of varying degrees of exhaustion and boredom. The oldest, perhaps 12, sits with his arms crossed. The youngest, no more than 5, is half asleep against the man's arm. The wagon slows to a stop in front of the chapel. The man looks down at the woman on the steps, his expression unreadable. The boys stare at her with the unfiltered curiosity of children who have not learned to hide their emotions. The woman looks up, embarrassed to be seen in such a state, wiping her face quickly with the back of her hand. She opens her mouth to apologize for blocking the path, but the man speaks first. "You're Clara," he says. It is not a question. She freezes, her hand still raised to her damp cheek. He climbs down from the wagon, his boots landing heavily in the dust. He approaches her slowly, as one might approach a frightened animal. "I'm Samuel. My wife, she was your cousin, Margaret." The name hangs in the air. Clara's eyes widen. Margaret had written to her months ago, promising a new life out west, but the letters had stopped. "Margaret passed last spring," Samuel says quietly, removing his hat out of respect, holding it against his chest. The 3 boys on the wagon have gone silent, the youngest now fully awake, watching his father with wide eyes. Clara rises to her feet, her legs unsteady. "I didn't know," she whispers. "I wrote to her, but..." Samuel nods, his jaw tightening. "I know. I found your letters after she was gone. I should have written sooner. I was lost." The oldest boy jumps down from the wagon, landing with a defiant thud. He walks to his father's side, his eyes fixed on Clara with suspicion. "Who is she?" he demands, his voice sharper than a child should be. Samuel places a hand on the boy's shoulder. "This is your mother's cousin, Eli, your Aunt Clara." Eli's face twists, and he looks away. The other 2 boys remain on the wagon, watching silently, one sucking his thumb, the other gripping the seat board tightly. Samuel looks at Clara with an intensity that makes her breath catch. "I came to find you because I need help," he says, his voice low enough that the boys cannot hear. 3 boys, a failing ranch, and a heart that's been buried for 6 months. "I can't do it alone." He pauses, glancing back at his sons. And they need something I can't give them. A woman's presence. A mother's touch. I know we are strangers, but I am asking you to come home with us. Clara stands frozen, her mind racing. Hours ago, she was supposed to become a wife. Now, a widower with 3 children is offering her a place. It is not romance. It is not the life she imagined. But as she looks at the 3 boys on the wagon, the angry one, the frightened one, the tiny one who has lost his mother, something stirs in her chest. Not pity, recognition. She knows what it is to be unwanted. She climbs onto the wagon without a word. The ranch sits at the base of a sprawling valley, a modest farmhouse with a sagging porch and a barn that has seen better days. As the wagon approaches, Clara sees the signs of neglect fences with missing rails, a garden overrun with weeds, laundry hanging crooked on a line. But she also sees potential. Samuel helps her down, his hand lingering for a moment longer than necessary. The boys scatter, the youngest running toward the house, the middle child hiding behind the barn door. That first week is chaos. The boys are not simply grieving, they are wild. Eli, the oldest, refuses to speak to her directly, communicating only through grunts or through his father. The middle boy, Jacob, hides every time she enters a room. Only little Thomas, the youngest, looks at her with open curiosity. Clara burns the first 2 meals she attempts, but she keeps trying. She mends shirts with clumsy stitches. She cleans until her hands are raw. She does not complain. One night, Clara hears crying coming from the youngest boy's room. She finds Thomas sitting up in bed, tears streaming down his face, clutching a rag doll with missing button eyes. She sits beside him, and without thinking, she begins to hum a lullaby her own mother used to sing. Slowly, his crying subsides. He leans against her, his small hand gripping her sleeve. In the doorway, Samuel watches, his silhouette motionless, his hand covering his mouth to hide his emotion. The turning point comes with Eli. Clara finds him behind the barn, sitting with his back against the wall, his knees drawn to his chest, his face buried in his arms. She sits down beside him, not speaking, simply present. Minutes pass. Finally, he speaks, his voice cracking. Everyone leaves. Mama left, and you're going to leave too. Clara does not promise forever. Instead, she says, I know what it feels like to be left behind, and I am still here. Today, that is all I can promise. Weeks become months. Clara learns to cook the boys' favorite meals. She teaches Jacob that it is safe to be seen. She braids Thomas's hair after baths and tells him stories about his mother when she was a girl. The ranch begins to heal. Samuel smiles more often. One evening, as Clara hangs laundry on the line, Eli appears beside her, silently handing her clothespins. It is a small thing, but it is everything. He looks at her and says, the bread was good today. It is the first kind thing he has said. One evening, Samuel finds Clara on the porch, watching the sunset. He sits beside her, closer than before. I brought you here to help with the boys, he admits, his voice rough. But I didn't expect to feel this. He takes her hand, his callous fingers intertwining with hers. I'm not asking you to replace Margaret, but I'm asking you to stay. Not as a helper, as U.S. Clara looks at him, then through the window where the 3 boys are gathered around the table, waiting for supper. The wedding is not in a chapel. It is on the porch of the ranch house, with the valley stretched out behind them. Clara wears a simple blue dress, not cream, and in her hands she holds a bouquet of wildflowers, the same kind she dropped at the chapel months ago. The boys stand beside Samuel, all 3 in clean shirts, their hair combed. Eli stands tallest, his hand resting protectively on little Thomas's shoulder. There is no preacher. Samuel speaks his vows to Clara, his voice steady, his eyes wet. Months later, the ranch looks nothing like it did. The fences are repaired. The garden blooms with vegetables and flowers. The porch has been painted. Clara sits in a rocking chair, a book open in her lap, while Thomas plays at her feet. Jacob runs past with a puppy, laughing loudly. Eli sits on the fence, older now, watching the horizon but glancing back every few moments to check on the family behind him. Samuel approaches Clara, leaning down to kiss her forehead. The final scene is the family gathered around the dinner table. Candles flicker in the center, casting warm light on their faces. Thomas is telling a rambling story about the puppy. Jacob is trying not to laugh with his mouth full. Eli rolls his eyes but cannot hide the smile tugging at his lips. Samuel reaches under the table and takes Clara's hand. She looks around at this family broken when she arrived, now whole, and her eyes glisten. She was left at an altar for being too plain. Now, she is the center of a world she never dared to dream of.